company are having meetups on different topics about data every couple of weeks. Today, Crystal, one of our data professionals, will talk about Power Query. I will.
Jabet, your mic is not working properly. It's going
Oh,
on and off.
I'm sorry. How is it now?
Yes, now it's better.
Okay. So I was saying today, Crystal, one of our data professionals, will talk about Excel Power Query. I will kindly ask you to mute your mic and please turn off your camera because Crystal will share her screen and it will be so busy and crowded. Um, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat and Crystal will answer them after the presentation. Finally, I want to let you know that this meetup is recorded. Hope you enjoy this session.
Yes, let's start. I will be sharing my screen right now with you all. Okay. Um, Welcome to Excel Power Query. My name is. Sorry, my screen is frozen for some reason.
Crystal, you can hit for
Yeah,
Barrington. If you hit for
yes,
Barrington, it will go away. You'll.
yes, but my screen just froze for a minute, for a moment.
You're back.
Yeah, there's all these technical difficulties. My name is Kristle de Freitas Patricio, and I'm a data professional at the Do Good Only company. And today I want to talk to you about Excel Power Query and its capabilities it has. The goal of today is to navigate to the features Power Query has to offer. Today we're going to be importing and transforming data. So that will be the extracting and transforming part today. Power Query is an ETL tool, which means it extracts, it transforms, and it loads. It's a loading tool. Today we're going to be focusing on the extracting and transforming part of Power Query. By extracting, I mean, by extracting, we can think of ways we can import the data into Power Query. We can do it via a table or a CSV or a text file or an Excel worksheet. There are so many options uh, to import data, which makes the reason why to use it even more so. The transforming part of it is where Power Query comes in to its full capabilities, because we can remove columns, we can remove rows, we can split columns, we can do pivot columns, amend data, merge data. There are so many options we can do with Power Query. Today's data set that I'll be using, I'm putting the link so you can go if you want to afterwards and play with it. It will be available on Kaggle. So let's begin. We'll start with importing the data, because of course we're going to start up Excel and then we'll go to importing the data. So we go to data, get data, and we're going to go to the text file. At this point we already downloaded it and we have it right here. And we import it. And the wonderful thing now about Power Query and Excel, it immediately opens it up into Power Query. Things you have to be aware of when you opened it is how the data is structured. And this is also a good feature of Query, that it allows you to import and structure your data as you see fit. So, and in this point, we're going to go with the comma, and we're going to transform the data. And here is where Power Query becomes fun to play with. First thing, when we open it, I like to go and look a little bit around, see how it's structured. We can see that the columns don't have names. A very good feature of Power Query is you can just by pressing use first row as header, it automatically shifts all of it to the column names. So at this point, we already did. We're starting to play with the data set, and now we're going to go into the part where we understand the type of the data. Like Power Query wants to be very helpful, so it wants to help you identify the types, but sometimes it's very difficult for him to understand that. A cool feature that's also not very well known is how to help Power Query do this. There is a very neat trick where you just select the column and go to detect data types, and it will try to see what it is. Like in this case, wait, I have it right here. Oh, this one, this time it changed it automatically. Normally it would open on text. And if you go to detect data type, it will go and it will detect whatever the data type is. So that's a cool trick it has too, that it will offer you. You can do it will recognize text, it will recognize um, uh, decimals, it will recognize percentages. So it's a cool trick to help you understand your data better. Another cool trick we're going to talk about today is the splitting of data. This row with this date, let's say I'm looking at my data set and I want to be more specific into days and years. A very cool way to do so is, again, we go to split column, and if we say we select then the delimiter, and it will, being helpful again, Power Query will automatically try to detect which delimiters are available in that particular set. So it already has figured it out. And if I go to each occurring one, it will automatically split it all up. Okay. See? It will split it down to days, months, and years. And if we want to change the name of the column, we right click and then we go to rename column. So we can say day here. So that's also a very cool trick about Power Query. Another thing is maybe I started seeing this and I've reevaluated my idea of splitting the day this way. A cool feature of Power Query is if going back, you can reverse your mistakes with one click and it will automatically just go back to the way it was by just refreshing it. You remove the step and refresh it. Oh my. No, wait a minute. It's going all crazy. Yes, there. I remove the step of the delimiter and it goes back to where it was. Also, a way to do eliminate all the steps is go to the gear icon and then you go to delete until the end. It will delete the rows till the end. And that's also good to know if you have like 40 steps or something like that, you've worked very long on it. That's a neat way to do that. Now I'm gonna show you how to um, a cool trick Power Query has that's called transpose. To be able to show you it in a good way, I'm gonna delete some columns. And a good way to do that too is if we want to delete some columns, we can go to choose columns and we can choose the columns we want to save. Oh, it went to all. Yes. Um, And then you can select the columns you want to keep. Let's say I just want the first columns. The one I have selected is the only one it will keep. The rest, it will throw it all out. So instead of going through all the columns and seeing which one to keep, especially if you have a large data set that has a lot of columns, like 40 columns, it's a hassle to get rid of. This is a cool way to organize that too. Another neat trick I wanted to show you about Power Query was this little button called transpose. Because what it does is it makes the columns into rows and the rows into columns. It's a good way to um, understand a certain particular row and have all its information in one. Because now I can see in um, the first row, I can see the date, I can see the number, I can see the average price. So that's another cool feature Power Query has to offer. Another thing it can do is, let's say, especially for people that work a lot with large data sets, sometimes it's very important to know how many rows you have. Um, a good way, because you can see on the bottom it says 3 columns and 99 plus rows. So you still don't know exactly how many rows you have. By just pressing count rows, it will tell you how many rows you have. And that's a good way to also know how large your data set is. And it's a very important information. By removing that step, we go back to the original data set. And this time I want to talk a little bit about um, adding columns and adding some colors and making some calculations. Let's say we want to understand how much we are earning on because we have seen here that it's a weekly entry because it's every 7 days. So we want to see what our week gainings are. So we're gonna multiply the average price by the volume we have so we can estimate what it is. Okay, and then to do so, we go to add columns, we go to custom columns, and right here, Power Query, again being very helpful, is giving you exactly the columns, asking you exactly which columns do you want to use. So we said we need the average price, we double click, and then we multiply by the total. We double click again. And Power Query will automatically calculate it and add it as a new row, which we again can just by right clicking, go to renaming, and say its estimate. Okay. Um, Another cool thing is, let's say we want to move this row to the front so it makes a little bit more sense for us. Power Query, it gives us that possibility too, because then we'll just go to transform data, and then we go to move, and it gives us the ability to move this particular column to the left, the right, or the beginning. By clicking so, it will automatically send it in front of in front of the query. So that's also a great way to play around with the data set. I wanted to share also with you guys today some tips and tricks um, that I have. Um, oh, I did that. Oh, we're going to do the I went ahead and went all in. Um, we're going to now start analyzing a little the data. And we're going to try to see how Power Query is going to help us do that. We already got here the estimate of our earnings. So now we know this is the estimate price we have. Another cool thing we can do is we can transform this by doing data type and making it to currency. And it will make it all into currency. Now, now we can see it in the monetary value. You will, because it's in Power Query, it will not give you the value, the currency sign, but when you load it back into Excel, it will show it with the currency sign, but it will not do it in Power Query. So here too, we can change this one into currency. And now we've changed that data site. Now we have a little bit more understanding of what it is. Now, if we look at the data type, we see total bags, small bags, large bags, and extra large bags. So now, let's say we want to see how much percentage it is of each one. We can add a column, custom column again. And we can write, we will start with seeing the differences. Let's start with the differences. We go to the total. Total bag price. And then this normally you would be doing in with Excel, in the Excel form, but we can also do it with the Power Query. It's calculations. And now we're seeing that, wait, something went wrong here. Sorry. Let me add it again. Go back and remove. Oh. Yes, and now it has calculated. Normally we would do that in Excel, but in Power Query we can do it in a one shift. So now we have calculated how much percentage it is. Oh, how much difference it is between the total bags we have and the small bags we have. We can now also, by going to standardize, we can add percentages, and it will ask us the value, and we have to wait the value. Sorry. And here we can see use value in a column, and then we can choose the column, and then we can say total bags, and it will automatically calculate it again, and we'll have another column added to our data set. And we can see it's a large decimal, and we won't need all those. So rounding it up, Quarter Query gives us the capability again to round it up or down. If you round it up like that, or if you just want it a little bit, wait, ooh, it's rounding it. Yes, here. You can choose the decimal you want it to be rounded at. Let's say we just want 2 decimals in. We can just click it there, and it's not working. Rounding to, yes. So now it has rounded it to 2 decimals. So as you can see, a lot of the things we usually could do in Excel by hand and doing formulas, Power Query has simplified it in a way we can do it in a more efficient way, a faster way, and a more organized way, because we can see the steps we have taken, and we can easily change it and play with it, so it makes the visualization part of the data set more easily and more clear to us. So that's what I wanted to show you a little bit for today, and I hope I could have gave you some tricks or some new tips you didn't know about. And if you have any questions, I would like to hear them.
Thank you, Crystal. I've got a question for you.
Yes.
I would like to know for I need to bring two sets of data together, or three sets, for example, three different sources out of different teams in my company. Can I is Power in given is Power Query a good choice to do that, or what would be some of the things I would need to consider before I tried to use Power Query for that?
Things we would have, you can merge data sets in Power Query. It
Mhm.
is possible, but it depends on the data sets itself and how it's structured, because it's in different, let's say you have different departments in your business that use different ways of data entry.
Mhm.
um, you will have to look at the data itself before merging it. To be honest, in those cases where the data sets are from different sources and different data sets, I would recommend using Python.
I was wondering
To
if
be
you were.
honest. Yeah, to be honest, I'm gonna be 100% honest about that.
Yeah.
When it comes to merging, because it's a very crucial step,
Mhm.
I think Python is a better tool at that. It will structure it better.
Great. Thank you for your honesty.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie about that. Does anybody have more questions? Oh, we love Python. Nobody has questions?
One question. It's in the chat now, but in the line of the last question, can you use Power Query to compare two data sets?
Yes, that's a very good question. It does give you that capability because you can have multiple queries running at the same time. So you can compare them, and you can merge them if the two data sets are of the same structure. That's why Caroline asked if it's from multiple sources. It depends on the structure of the data, but you can compare if the structure is well and you've imported it in. You can totally compare it using Power Query.
Cool, thanks.
I have a question as well. Do you have some sort of limit in terms in which you're saying, okay, this many rows, I'm not going to use Power Query anymore or Excel? Or
Power Query will start slowing down at 1 million plus rows. That's where
Okay.
it hits its capabilities, and it starts slowing down. But everything less than that, it will run fine. If you have larger data set than 1 million rows, again, for the Python lovers, you'll have to go to Python.
and then for Python, you're using pandas or something.
Yes, it depends what you want to do with the data, which library you will import.
Yeah.
But for large values, it will run, but it will run very slowly. So then time is money. So in the name of efficiency, I wouldn't suggest a larger data set than 1 million rows on Power Query.
Okay.
Any more questions? Did that answer it for you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Any more questions? If not,
I have a question here.
yes.
Comparing the Power Query using an Excel and Power BI, which one is more flexible or maybe more efficient and faster?
In the visualization part?
Just for the Power Query or for visualization or analyzing, actually for visualization, okay. Which one is the
The Power Query and Power BI is actually almost the same, with some minor changes in where things are positioned. But visualization, that's what Power BI does best. So with Power BI, you have multiple ranges of options in charts and how you customize charts. Excel will give you some charts. It will easily make it, but to customize it, if you want specialized and customized and beautiful charts, that's Power BI.
What about with the content, with the size of the data set, like if it is a big data set comparing to Excel and Power BI for that care of
For
transforming?
visualization?
For transforming the data in Power Query, does it affect us like whether it is big or small, or does it have
Yes,
any effect?
yes. Power BI hits a max on, I think it's like 1.5 million rows. Power BI hits. So that's why I say when you go very large data sets, you'll have to go back to Python. But if it's not that large and many data sets aren't that large, you can use Excel and Power BI, because a data set of more than 1 million rows it's a it's not usually you work with such large data sets.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kristle. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I put a link in the chat. If you could please fill in the survey, we would really appreciate it. It takes only 5 minutes. And I would like to let you know that if you want to attend more sessions like this, make sure to become a member of our meetup. And if you have a topic yourself that you want to present it, we can provide this platform to you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the week and hope to see you again.
And for
Bye.
those who want to talk more about Excel and Power Query, you can search me on LinkedIn, and I'm open to questions or anything you want to work on. So you can reach out. And I'm very thankful you were all here and present.